since Ben wasn't able to hop on tonight, I had luckily recruited some questions from the peanut gallery. These are both from Brennan Bates and Dean Klinkerman. I told them you were coming on, so
Come on now.
they threw a couple.
All right.
Most of them were legit questions. I'll give them credit.
I'm excited.
So first one is what's the difference in developing bigs now versus 10 or 20 years ago with how much the game has evolved?
Whose question was that?
I want to just reading it. I think Dean's, but let me.
Good one, Dean.
No, it was Bates. Okay,
Bates.
Sorry, Bates.
Oh, Bates. That's a really good question. I mean, I think a lot has changed. If you watch the Bears play and you watch our bigs play right now, we spend, once we get to the half court, and I know we play extremely fast, the ball's in Brock Wisney's hands just as much as it is Jaron Riley's hand, except for late in the game. And so our system, our bigs, are on the perimeter and they're making reads and they're playing quarterback and they're reading actions and they're making passes and they're learning how to get to space. And there's a whole nother skill set that goes with that versus the way I grew up teaching bigs in the SNS camps and the camps that I used to run that you guys attended. It was get your butt on the block, get big, show me the Doliak, show me numbers, bury your guy, catch safely, score simply. And there's a lot of that still exists. That's still a part of the game. That part's not going away. But this, as we've all seen, the skill of the game becoming positionless and the skill that bigs are playing with and the way that we play, it's much more of a combination. And so developing those perimeter skills, the passing, the footwork, the ability to stretch the floor and shoot the basketball, the ability to straight line drive, the ability to play with, off 2 feet and the pivots. There's just a lot has changed, but there still is the true core of really being a true, genuine big. I don't care what you say. You're 6'8" to 6'11". Your butt's gonna spend some time down there, in that RA and that block. And you're a guy that we have to teach guys not to be contact avoidant. We got to teach guys balance. We got to keep guys to play hard, and we got to keep guys to play strong. And the last piece that I'll bring up, even when I was a player, the ball screen was not as prevalent. And so now we're teaching guys to play in the ball screen, the angles of setting ball screens, how to get off actions, how to find the space, how to make reads and rotating defenses. That's something that's changed. It's added to the development a lot that I know I wasn't teaching, back when all you guys were, barely had driver's license.
Then this one's from Bates. As kind of an undersized. This one's from Dean. The last one was from Bates. I apologize. I should have these two straight by now.
We can work it out with those two.
Yeah. So as an elite rebounder, you're 6'8", right? A little bit undersized for a big at the bottom level of that you're going to be down in the post height. What are some of the finer keys to boxing out and getting position for rebounding?
Yeah, I think it's something that I think for UNC that we've instilled that. I mean, we were number 2 in the entire country out of 363 teams last year at collecting defensive rebounds. And so it's not just with our bigs. I think with everybody, I think it's habits, building the habits, the discipline and the toughness to be able to do your job every time. Whether if it's knowing when to wedge rebound, or knowing when to check and confront, check and chase. And then I think even today I can remember Coach Klopp. I can still hear his voice and the expression on his face yelling at one of our guys to grab the basketball with 2 hands. That stuff's not going away. And then I think a lot of it too is for us, the teaching part of it is there is more teaching to it. And that's something I've learned at UNC is the way that we utilize film, of watching practice film and then seeing that, hey, whether it's on the offense or the defensive end of, we got a lot of guys that are grabbing and rapping and they're missing basketballs and having their hands ready. And then on the offensive end, getting 50-50. And so I don't think the number one thing, though, that hasn't gone away, it's a desire. It's a desire to possess the basketball, that you got to have it in a guy like St. Thomas was just, at the end of the day, St. got all the technique and some in the world, but at the end of the day, St. Thomas was going to go get the basketball. And I know Coach Smiley coached Joey Ballenboy at Weber State, and Joey was a lot like that. And so the technique and all that stuff's important, but that desire to just go get the basketball, I think, trumps it all.
Okay. And this is something that I've wondered, but I've never been able to, or I've thought, but never actually had a way to prove. But Brock really only rebound or averaged like what 4 or 5 rebounds last year. But it feels like when he's out on the floor, the team it shows second in the nation in defensive rebounding. Is he like how much does he contribute to team rebounding, even if he's not getting those rebounds
A
himself?
lot, a lot, and I'm glad I'm glad this is something that you're pinpointing and highlighting. For Brock, and I'm glad that you brought this up because we just reminded Brock of the stat that you just said, and I think the stat we gave him was a little bit lower, so Brock has been very intentional in the last several days to go get the basketball. And we're going to need him to rebound from that position maybe a little bit more. But you're 100% right. And with Brock, a lot of time being a little bit undersized, where it's easier for the players and the fans and people from the outside to say, put a body on him. Brock is competing against guys sometimes that are 7 foot. I watch him go against Theo Hughes every day. They're 7 foot, 260 pounds. How about you get down in here and you box him out and you hold off a 7 foot, 260 guy, and then you turn around and elevate 26 inches and grab the ball off. I mean, that'd be great. But Brock, we started a lot of our teaching with Brock was like, Brock, if you can't go get it, let's just make sure your guy doesn't. And so that was a lot of the philosophy and the teaching with him is like, Brock, hey, listen here, just hold on to this monster and just keep him off the glass. And if you can't go get the basketball, let's just make sure that he doesn't. And the way that we teach our gang rebounding with 5 guys on the glass, let some of your teammates come in and clean up the glass. We call that being a sacrificial lamb. And there's a lot of things that Brock does that doesn't show up in the stats, but you're 100% right. Our rebounding is better when Brock is on the floor, even though his rebounding numbers don't exactly jump through the roof at you.
Okay. And then this one, I will make sure I get the correct guy right because I'm 0 for 2 so far. This one's from Dean. What's the pitch at UNC? Like, what's the key to getting some guys to come to a mid low major that are still able to contribute? And it seems like you guys have figured something out, especially in the portal these last few years. And then I guess, is it easier now than it was 3-4 years ago? Now that you have the success stories to kind of point to.
Yeah, I think I can hit on all of those things. I think there's 2 things. In my opinion, there's 2 things that I think that we really sell. One of them has been more recently. I mean, just the offensive success that we've had. Leading the country in field goal percentage this last season. It's a great accomplishment and speaks to obviously our efficiency. The other stat that jumps out a lot is how fast we play. We get all these advanced analytics, 363 teams. We're always in the top 50 in the country for our tempo, for how fast. And every coach in their first recruiting pitch, when they're asked, well, how do you play? Every coach, not every coach, a large majority, we play fast. For us, we can just pull the data and show how fast we play. And then I think, you collect all the other offensive. You look at the Big Sky standings offensively, and we're top. We're number 1 in the conference in all major categories. And so I think that's appealing to players. I think being in a system where you're going to score a bunch of points, where everybody can sit at the table and eat, and which opens more opportunities for everybody. I think that's appealing to kids, and we really sell our offensive production and our offensive efficiency. I think the other thing that's really attractive for the Bears right now is that we've got a lot of guys playing professional basketball. I don't want to misspeak, but I believe it's 13. We have 13 current pros right now, and obviously Dalton Connect with the Lakers is the first one that jumps out at everybody. But before Dalton and after Dalton, we've got guys consistently making legitimate money in legitimate leagues, making a career out of being a basketball player. And this is not including the class that we have that's coming up. You've got St. Thomas, who recently has worked out with a lot of NBA teams. You've got Jaron Reilly right now, and you've got Isaiah Hawthorne. We've got, we could be looking at up to 16 pros when the fall comes. And so every young hooper wants a chance to be a pro. And so we've got guys that are pros. We play in a high octane offense. And I think those are the things we sell, and those are the things that have been appealing. Has it gotten easier with success? Well, of course, in a lot of ways. One thing that's made it harder too, though, is that we've all seen what NIL has done, and the price value for these guys has just gone up and up and up. And so that part makes it challenging still. You can still have high octane offense. You can still have pros. You still have the success that we have, but sometimes guys are chasing something else, something green. And that talks a lot of times. And so those things carry us to a certain extent, but it doesn't always put us over the top with every recruit.
Okay. And then two fairly quick hitters. I want to make sure I get this read correctly. As someone who's seen so many places in the country, what is the armpit of this great nation?
What's the armpit?
Yeah, what's the armpit?
I told you before we got on, I said, listen, you can ask me anything. I'm an open book. I'll answer anything. I'm not answering that. I can tell you what I really think, but down there, I've got a high school coach, I've got a JUCO coach, I've got an AAU coach down there that I'm probably going to call in the next 10 days. And, the internet's one of the things that's undefeated. So I'm not going to respond on what I think is the armpit of this great nation. But my response will be political, and there's truth in it. The eye is in the beauty of the beholder. And so I think that can vary from person to person. And so I'm going to pass on a direct answer for that one there, Chris.
That's a spoken like question. A true professional.
Yeah. Yeah, I went Coach Smiley on that one.
And then best restaurant in the Arkansas Valley. This is for a very few limited listeners.
Yeah, man. For me in the Arkansas, man, you're pushing it. My wife and I are drawn to Taqueria and Rocky Ford, the big green building. Man, the tacos al pastor, the chips and the salsa, and then Lucy's is like right there. I'm a little down on Lucy's, to be honest with you. I went to Lucy's last time that we went through, and it was like $14 for a burrito. When I first started going, it was like $6 for it, a carne asada or a California, and so I'm a little down. I used to like Boss Hogs. I mean, so Boss Hogs is in there. You remember what were they called? The chicken butts? I don't know.
I think
jalapenos wrapped in bacon. So Boss Hogs was a favorite. But I would say that Taqueria is probably personally my favorite.
It as a place in Greeley that has pretty solid Mexican food, you just can't compete. You can't compete with down there.
No, it's just different. It's just different. Greeley, as far as where Lee and I have lived, is as good and as close to Mexican food as we're used to. Our feel and taste for Mexican food is just the authentic food. When we lived in Arkansas, I know you can relate to this. Some of the best Mexican food that we had never came from restaurants. It came from people that we knew in the community that made burritos every Sunday or every Saturday, or we had a lady at Otero that used to make me a plate of cheese and onion enchiladas. The Christmas time comes around buying tamales. And so that's some of the best food. And the authentic part of that is still something that we still talk a lot about. And between that and obviously going over there to Knapp's Market and loading up on produce, those are all some of our favorite things about the Arkansas Valley for sure.
And one last one to close on. Do you remember the best 6'1" big you've ever seen at a high school basketball camp?
He's on this podcast.
That's what my ego needed, baby.
He's on this podcast.
He's got some eligibility left.
He does.
I bet just about every 6'1" big has some eligibility left.
Yeah. 6'1" bigs and rebounding guards, dime a dozen.